Well, good evening, YouTube family and friends. We are back, S&M Porter, and we miss you all. Hope you all miss us. Today, our title is Prayer Louder Than Your Disagreements in Your Marriage and Home? We pressed our way to present this content to you all tonight. We had some unfortunate things that happened this week, but God brought us through. We have nothing but good news, and God blessed us to be able to keep our word. Even though it's Friday night, it's still Friday, and we thank God for making a way like He always does. And we're gonna dive right in to tonight's topic, and we hope that we help you all as we continue to encourage our own selves in our marriage, because we've been married for 3 years and 4 months, and we are still pressing on. We are still believing that God is the same God yesterday, today, and forevermore. Amen. Our first question that we're going to deal with today is how important it is for couples to pray together. Can you just think about that? How important it is for couples to pray together. Well, for me, it's important for couples to pray together because the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, especially marriages. Marriages is the glue that holds the family together. So, yes, it's very important for your marriage to be built on a strong foundation of prayer. What about you, hubby? What do you think?
Yes, it's very important to pray because the Bible saying Isaiah 59:19, when an enemy come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord lift up a standard against him. Cause it's very important to pray, and you have to have a prayer life.
Amen. Amen. A very strong prayer life in your marriage is essential. And another thing that's good when couples pray together is a time for couples to do a lot of that physical touching, that love language exchange thing becomes more effective. You can hold hands, you can hug, and even while you cuddling, you can take the time out to pray for one another, look into each other's eyes, and be really sincere and genuine when you do that prayer together. Amen. And the next part of this topic, we're going into another deeper question. How, excuse me, how effective is it for a husband to hear his wife pray for him? And I would love to hear from my husband. How effective, what does it do to you when you hear me pray for you, babe?
Well, when I hear my wife pray for me, I feel comfortable and I feel secure that God hear her prayer, and it's very important.
Amen. And I feel very important to you also when I hear you pray for me. I feel I feel protected when I hear my husband pray for me. I love to hear my husband pray for me. Um, we have a lot of pillow talks before we go to bed, and I notice that when he leads us in prayer, it makes me just lean in to him even closer. I like to hear his heart beating as he pray. I mean, I just like to hear that rhythm of the words coming from deep down inside of him. I can hear that and I can feel that. And I don't take that for granted. I don't. Because there's some husbands out there that don't know how important it is for your wife to hear you pray for her. You may go to yourself and pray for your wife, and I'm not telling you to stop praying for your wife like that, but I am saying it's very important that your wife hear you pray for her. She just might be in one of those moods, and maybe instead of her coming at you in a negative way, she hear you praying for her, you can immediately stop her in her tracks, and she may decide, "Ooh, hold on. Did he just ask the Lord to bless me? Did he just ask the Lord to help me to get through my day a little bit better than I got through yesterday? Is he really standing in the gap for me? Oh, do he really understand my struggle? Wow, my husband really do understand my pain." Because if I didn't hear my husband praying for me, I would have never known. Because men are not as verbal as we women are a lot of times. So when I hear him get down to business with God about me, he take the time out to pray for me. That does something to me. That changes me. That changes my mind. If I'm in a bad mood, I'm suddenly feeling better about my husband. I don't see him as the enemy. I see him as somebody in my corner just because he started praying for me. Amen. And so this is just something we want to throw out there into the universe. Pray for your husband. Pray for your wife. And let them hear you praying for them. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So, hubby, how does it feel to you to hear yourself pray for me?
I I feel real good about when I pray for myself, and that God will help me to pray and keep me in his covenant, and God will help me to pray for my wife, and he got to do it.
Amen. Now, how does that make you feel when you hear yourself pray for me? How do you feel? Do that release something and some tension inside of you when you pray for me? Even if it's a time where, let's say, me and you had a disagreement, and you told yourself, you know what, instead of me complaining, I'm going to pray for my wife. How does that make you feel in that moment while you're praying for me?
That make me feel very comfortable when I pray, because I know when you pray, prayer will change you or change the situation.
Amen. Amen. And how I feel when I hear myself pray for my husband, I definitely agree with my husband. I feel like change is going to come. I feel like there's a release in me that helps me to forgive him, because I hear myself praying for him. I don't hear myself wanting to be upset or wanting to stay upset. Because I'm not saying that we don't get upset with each other. We do sometimes. But when I hear myself asking God to bless my husband, when I hear myself asking God to help my husband to understand uh, why we had a particular conflict, or I hear myself asking God to give me wisdom to understand him, because I'm not always right. So when I hear myself praying for my husband, it humbles me. It humbles me. It helps me to realize that I fall short too. Because while I'm praying for my husband, I'm thinking about, wow, this is good. This this feeling feels better than holding in bitterness or holding in strife. Because if you don't let that out some type of way, it's going to come out the wrong way. So it's better to hear yourself pray about the situation, pray for your husband, than to suppress the feelings inside. Because suppressing it is not the answer. Prayer is the answer. And through prayer, forgiveness follows. Prayer and forgiveness, it just works together hand in hand. Your prayer is going to be effective with forgiveness automatically. If you really praying from the heart and you having that serious personal conversation with God, you can't go wrong with forgiveness being the next step. And then God will show you even how to release the forgiveness to the extent where you desire to even forget. You know, some people say, well, I forgive you, but I won't forget. There's a part of forgetting that God will help you to forget. It might be the heaviness of that thing. It may be, we'll say, the impact of it. You know, how when you first got upset with him, maybe at that time you were speechless. Maybe at that time you said a little bit too much. Well, God will help you in that area with your prayer and forgiveness where you be like, wow, it wasn't even that serious after all. He will lighten the impact. He'll lighten the heaviness to you and to even to him. It would be like, wow, baby, we wasted a lot of time on that right there when we could have just squashed that within 5-10 minutes to max, and we could have moved on a long time ago. And sometimes you might even forget what happened to made you start arguing about the situation in the first place. That's how powerful prayer and forgiveness work together. Amen.
Amen.
The next thing we want to cover is how does it affect our families when our prayer becomes the foundation of solving problems instead of fussing and fighting? Now, as you know, our families know us better than anybody, particularly our children, because they live with us. They watch us. And sometimes children will imitate their parents as well. And so we want to talk about how effective it is for our children, for our family members that we live with, um, see our prayer life becoming the foundation of solving problems. We'll find little kids touching each other heads and they imitate adults. And if you have the blessed oil around, they know how to put their little finger in that little blessed oil bottle and anoint each other's head with oil. Children know how to play church. They know how to do all that because they watch us. They watch us all the time. So yes, it's very important for parents, couples, to make prayer a foundation in a home where there's children and teenagers and young adults living with you, because it trains them how to solve their problems. It trains them. And I'm not saying that couples don't argue sometimes, have disagreements sometimes, but just like we're human and children see and know, because children are smart, they know when their parents is upset with each other, okay? But let them also see you come back together with prayer. Let them see, yeah, it can be complicated sometimes, but they can still attest and say, I saw my parents pray together. I heard my parents praying for each other. I heard my parents saying, baby, I love you. Baby, I forgive you. I saw my parents kiss and make up. Don't be afraid to let your children hear you pray for each other or see you kiss and make up, because that's important. That's building not only your foundation strong in your household, but that's also building a future foundation for your children home and household and for their future marriages, because they're going to want to imitate what they learned at home. Amen. So it's
Amen.
very important. And um what what do that look like to our children? So when our children are doing what we train them to do, what does that look like? What does that look like uh uh from our standpoint when we're looking on our children? And I'm gonna let my husband answer that question, then I'm gonna say something else on that.
Well, the Bible say in Proverbs 22:6, it says, train up a child that the way they should go, and when they depart, it will not depart from them.
Amen. That's awesome. That training is so important. That's what it looked like to our children. It becomes a training point, and um, when they grow up and they have these different situations going on, they won't forget the training. They won't forget the training. It might seem like sometimes that our children have forgotten the training, but that training ain't going nowhere. Whether you see it physically in action or not, that training is buried deep down inside of them. And at a certain point of their life, it's going to spring back up. I'm a witness of that. I'm a product of a pastor's child. And I left the church for a few years and I came back. And that was because uh, the training of prayer